So, the important point is that what I am, consciousness, is my state of consciousness, the state of consciousness, what it's like right now to be me, is undisturbed through training, is unaffected by what happens in my environment. The higher we go with our training, the more we see this. My state of consciousness, my total self, my body-mind, my mind and my body, my endocrine system, my neurochemical system, my hormones, my emotions, my feelings, all that. My state of consciousness, what it's like to be me, it remains unaffected by circumstance. Now, in an untrained, one who has not had training in consciousness and does not identify with consciousness as the totality of being, what they do identify with is mind. And what mind is thinking and emotion. So what an untrained person would do is identify with thoughts and emotions. And thoughts and emotions, or the mind, which is a part of consciousness. So the mind is a part of the whole consciousness, the conscious being. So the thoughts and the emotions are parts or things taking place within the mind, within consciousness. Okay, so the average person will identify with thoughts and emotions. So as thoughts and emotions comprise the mind will be 100% affected by external circumstances and events, because it's programmed to respond in that way. It's conditioned to respond in that way. When I say mind, I'm talking about thoughts and feelings and emotions. Thoughts, feelings, emotions. So the mind recognizes these and responds to these. It responds to these as if it is these. The mind identifies itself with thoughts and emotions. It can't separate itself from thoughts and emotions because it consists of its existence depends upon thoughts and emotions. The mind is thoughts and emotions. So the mind is continually jumping from here to there, running from here to there, high, low, left, right, backwards, always running, always scamming, always running away, running towards, avoiding, suppressing, enhancing, running towards pleasure, away from discomfort. So the mind is continually changing. It's a machine. It's a programmed machine. It's been programmed since birth. It's a machine. It's a program. It's like a computer. It's a dead machine that someone else programmed. It's a robot. And yet you're living your life according to this program. If you don't understand the distinction between consciousness, the totality of being, and the mind, then you're living like a conditioned robot. In fact, the mind itself has no free will. It's just a series of conditioned responses to environmental circumstances. Your thoughts arise without you having any control over them. You don't choose what to think. You don't make the choice to choose what to think. These thoughts just arise. You have no will. You have no control over the thoughts that arise, and so you have no free will. As long as you identify with mind. Now, when you recognize the mind for what it is, and you identify with consciousness as the totality of being, and the mind being a small part of consciousness that has become overblown. It's like an artificial AI has taken over the whole network. Your mind is a robot, a dumb programmed machine. And you can turn it on and use it efficiently. Once you turn that machine on, you can do amazing things with it. Once you turn that machine on, you give it the commands, you can do some literally amazing things with it. Look around us, this world, technology, how we've dominated the earth. But for the average person, the mind is the slave driver. You're a slave to the mind. And it just keeps running these programs without any choice of yours in the equation. Because just as the mind can't distinguish itself from thoughts and emotions, you, the average person, can't distinguish itself, him or herself, from the mind. We all have fallen into this trap. We identify totally with our mind and with our thoughts. We think that's all there is. But it's so easy to prove otherwise. And you do it all the time. Just the ability to examine your thoughts objectively, this is called metacognition, to examine your thoughts and emotions and consider them. Evaluate your thoughts as they're happening. You all have the ability to do this. Indicates, beyond the shadow of the doubt, that there's something greater than mind. If I could become conscious of what I'm thinking and feeling, and unravel those thoughts and feelings, unravel those patterns, those thought patterns and emotional patterns and destructive patterns and habits, and depression, whatever the case may be, addiction. If I can unravel those things, I can see them as programming, as conditioning, thought and emotional patterns. And once I can unravel them, then I delete them. Once I understand and unravel them, then I can empty that hard drive of all the programs that are running within it. And just run the programs when I want and the kind that I want. And other than that, apart from that, the machine stays off. And I'm free to have this wonderfully full of energy and creative potential by being the master of my own psyche, the master of my own body, the master of my own emotions, the master of my complete totality. And that's what they mean about being conscious, being enlightened. Recognize the difference between consciousness and the mind. And this mind can be, we can be enslaved to it, or we can use it as a tool, or we can make it our slave, our tool. What very powerful tool. But you can only do that when you step out of it, when you understand the illusion that you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts. You stop living like a robot, a condition, running a program someone else wrote for you. And you start designing your intelligence. You start designing the programs you want to run.